Don't worry, I'm about to get my hair done soon. I won't look like a fucked up, cracked out version of The Weeknd anymore. Or also known as just The Weeknd. I think he's still doing drugs. That's kind of his thing. Shout out to The Weeknd. We still love you regardless, Abel Tesfaye. Also, shout out to Anthony for sending me 20 bucks. We love you, buddy. Platonically. That's nice of you. Even though I can't really get my hair done for 20 bucks. But it still helps. I love and cherish you, buddy. You're the best. Anyway, so this is going to be a nice quick video. Simply put, the best thing you can do if you're going to leave an abusive partner, you need to cut off your mutual friends. And this is why. If you cut off your mutual friends of your abusive partner, then it's kind of like the equivalent of defeating like the smaller enemies building up to a boss battle. Like, for example, I was in a relationship with this one lame ass, bitch ass, ugly ass nigga. He was terrible. Like, emotionally abusive, verbally abusive, sexually abusive. He was not a good guy. He was fucking terrible. But you know what helped? Is that like I already was kind of like, I don't think I should give this guy another chance. He's actually squandering so many, he's just becoming a guy I didn't even know he could be. And people who knew about how bad he was from the very fucking beginning were seeing him at bars or comedy shows, and they'd be like, "Hey Jared, what's up? Let's talk. Hey buddy." And they were like clinking and drinking with him, and it's like, "Oh, so you want to sit there and act like we're friends, but you saw me on Instagram crying, knife to my wrist, losing my ever loving shit because I was coping with the horrors of such a fucked up relationship and its toll on my mind." And you're just like, "Yeah, Jared, yeah, I know you were touching Tamia for like 8 hours in a row and refusing to let her sleep and being a total fucking menace to her and fucking up her already fragile mental health. But you know what? You know what? You seem like a cool guy to crack open a cold beer with." It's like, fuck you, nigga. You should die. And then it's like and yeah, and then I had a few people where I just was like, oh, like like I wasn't gonna go off on people hella hard at first, but I did go, "Hey, do you happen to know this guy?" And then they said, "Yeah, I do. I was hanging out with him at this bar just recently, right?" And I said, "Oh, well, I know you watch my story every day, but you probably saw that like I talked about in depth about the way he was like verbally abusing me over the phone for hours, nonstop sending me like cruel, fucked up messages telling me to kill myself, this, and that, and about how he was being like sexually perverse and abusive towards me, right? Like how he damn near raped me." And then that nigga left me on red, and I was like, "Oh, so here I was thinking you were gonna be some sort of great friend, but you're really just a pussy ass bitch who wants to be like that." Okay, I cut that nigga off. He didn't appreciate it. But that wasn't my issue. And then I hit up another nigga. I was like, "You knew how severe it was. You of all people especially knew how much that fucked me up. You knew how I was before I even met Jared, and you know how I am now because of how I dated him. And you're just out here chilling with him. That's not cool with me. I'm cutting you off too." And then they had to deal with like used to go to this one specific comedy open mic, and sometimes I would be the only audience member, but then I didn't go for like 2 weeks, and it was fucking no one in the audience, so people didn't want to show up and perform anymore. And one of my homies tried, or he's not really a homie, he's just an acquaintance at this point, barely. He was like, "Hey Tam, listen, we really miss you. If you ever want to ride to Aloha, we can give you that." I said, "Well, first of all, fuck you, because no, I already told you 2 weeks ago that you're out here clinking drinks with my fucking ex, and you know what he did to me, and that fucks me up. Don't talk to me again. Enjoy your empty fucking venue." And yeah, and they got to enjoy an empty fucking venue for a while. And mind you, I was still with my ex Jared. But then again, not really. It was complex how I would even describe our relationship. It was one of those things where I wouldn't even call it a relationship because we also weren't really monogamous. I would just say it's the equivalent of me being haunted by some sort of spirit just sucking the soul out of my body. Not in the good way. In the way where it's just like, I'm losing all sense of joy in life and my hobbies and ambition and motivation, and he just wants all of my attention and wants to hurt me whenever he has the chance. And he knew about that. And he was like, "Hey, how am I supposed to ever like have a future with you if you're out here holding my past against other people and me and being mad at people for associating with me?" "Oh, nigga, haven't you heard? This is just my way." Like, oh my God. You gotta start small and then get big. I don't know, it's like increasing your power scale. Like, yeah, if I'm defeating the little minions and shit and all the enablers who openly know what you did and think that shit was okay, then one, I'm relying on my own intuition. Two, I'm validating my own wants and needs and desires. Three, I'm starting to look at you funny because I'm holding your past, rightfully so, against not only other people, but also, like, it's like, you know what, if I have smoke with other people for the actions you did, I should also have smoke for you. Like, yeah, because how do I put this? I don't want to be friends with people who enable rapists. I don't want to be friends with people who enable abusers. But I also don't want to date an abuser or rapist. So actually, you're on the chopping block next, sir. I'm just hyping myself up. This is like a pregame, basically. And then, yeah, it's like... and then lo and behold, like, it got so easy because the more I isolated myself from those people who were like enablers and supporters of him, life got easier. I was like, you know what? Okay, if I can't talk to them or rely on them for fun, and I'm also kind of side-eyeing this nigga who wants to always have my attention, what can I do to bring myself joy? And I started, like, I was like, I'm going to get back into my hobbies. I'm going to go back to, like, collecting jewelry and gemstones and researching about them in depth. I'm going to make, like, homemade perfumes and oils, and, like, I'm going to organize my bedroom and read these books I have. And I started realizing, like, the joys I could have without relying on other people. And because I stopped relying on those friends, I started learning how to rely on myself for joy, which also had a domino effect. Because, like I said, he was on the chopping block. I remember at some point things with him almost got, like, kind of a little bit better. And then he was trying to call me, like, hey, how have you been doing today? I said, oh, I've been doing good. Yeah, yeah. Like, I got to learn about, like, I got to propagate some succulents, and I spent the morning just gardening. I was so happy about that. Oh, and I got to draw a little bit, and, ooh, I got to research some cool gemstones, and it's just been such a good day. And then I talked about my hobbies for less than 10 seconds, and this bitch-ass nigga just immediately was like, fuck, oh my God, we get it. You have hobbies. Shut up about it. Everybody has, like, no one needs to talk about their hobbies all the time. We get it, you do stuff. And I knew that was a tactic of his to try to make me feel bad for having a life and make me not focus on them. And, like, I already could tell it was a tactic. And I just kind of was like, it's like, I see. This is also an important thing. Make sure you have your own life that you're not willing to compromise on, or at least start getting your own life and hobbies. They will fucking hate that. Because once they can tell, it's like, oh shit, like she's getting into, like, because the reason abusers hate hobbies is because if you have a hobby, that's attention you're taking away from them. And like, if all your attention's on them and all your, like, joy and happiness is staked in them, then they can abuse you how they like, and you'll deal with it because you'll think, oh, he's such a nice guy. No, I don't want to be alone. Oh, he controls my finances. All that shit. Don't do it. Because if my ex had it his way, I would not have any hobbies, so that then he could keep being sexually abusive to me and trying to make me stay obsessed with him through sex, or like the most bare minimum bullshit ever. It's like, no, nigga, turns out there's better shit than your musty ass apartment in fucking Vallejo and motherfucking, like, sex, you know? It's like, okay, I have bootleg websites. I don't need to rely on you to watch movies at your apartment as you try to molest me. No, thank you. I have food at home. I like cooking for myself. No, thank you. Because if he, like, yeah, if I staked all my joy in him, then he could have done whatever he wanted to me and I probably would have stuck around. But he hated that because if my attention is instead on growing and nurturing plants, then I'm not nurturing his abusive ass. If my attention is on writing and screenwriting and movie making and all this stuff, then he's afraid that I'm going to get more powerful and talented and successful in life, or just have joy. And then it's like, oh no. To me, it's finding joy that doesn't just exist in my massive penis and, like, my really shitty skills at giving head and, like, the very subpar, sometimes fucked up jokes that I say. No. And so he was trying to just hopefully knock me down a few pegs, but all it did was knock him down a few pegs in my mind. And I just, when he said, oh my God, no one talks about their hobbies all the time, I said, one, I only talked about it for 10 seconds. Two, yes, they do. That's what people do when they have a life that isn't just, porn addictions and, like, abusive behaviors. And he didn't like that response whatsoever. But that was not my fucking issue. And then I'm sure I've already talked about how this story ends a million times, but there's like I'm gonna say it again because I'm proud of it. I did eventually get the courage to leave him. It took a while. It took some more. Like it was just 2 weeks of really, really awful bullshit from him. But like when it was done, it was done. He tried one more act of bullshit. He tried more love bombing shit. He was like, "Hey, I know I fucked up recently, almost losing my house with my kid and doing this and doing that. Listen, here, once I get all my money back, I'm gonna take you out to that restaurant, Dead Fish, that I know I always said I would take you to." And I just told him, "Nigga, I would rather just have that money for my rent, cause you're the one who knew I was struggling with my rent and bills and housing and instead spent $3,000 on basically a deep fake AI version of Angel Youngs because you wanted to believe that there were really hot single porn stars in your area willing to fuck for 25 $100 deposits. Meanwhile, the girl you supposedly love and want a future with is at home struggling like shit. Fuck you, nigga." I didn't say that full sentence, but that's what I was thinking, and that's just some context. Oh, still makes me sad to think about, but it's just like, wow, nigga, fuck you. But I'll say it like this: that bitch ass nigga. He was so fucking like, yeah. Once I just said I would rather have that money for my bills, and he didn't like that whatsoever because it's like shit. I can't try to like convince her that I can be a romantic, sweet, giving guy again someday because she just wants my money, and I have to care for her. He didn't like that and he had an attitude. And then several other little things, but let's just say the way our relationship ended, he tried to be all, ooh, I can, like 4th of July was coming up, I don't spend it, I don't celebrate it, I don't do shit for it. I just get annoyed by the sounds of ghetto ass fireworks in my neighborhood. He was like, hey, I know you're gonna be like alone that day. Maybe we could go to like a parking lot somewhere and watch some fireworks and maybe that could happen. Like, not exactly romantic, but it's still decently thoughtful. It's like, okay, he didn't want me to be alone and miserable on a big holiday. And I was like, okay. But then time passed, and then he just kept saying like really, really sexually perverted comments nonstop. Like he said like 7 of them back to back in a totally normal conversation. Like it could be about food or clothing or activities, and he would just try to find any single way to turn each of those topics into him wanting his dick in my mouth, me looking so good that he wanted to fuck me from behind, like how I looked so sexy that he wanted to just come on me, like disgusting shit. And I just simply politely said, "Hi, listen, at this stage, like we've been through a lot. I'm not very comfortable talking about those subjects, even as a joke. Even if you're just kidding, even if it's just a joke, I'm just not in the headspace where I can handle that right now. So I really can't do that. Like, I want to have just normal platonic conversations for now because anything sexual is just too much for me, like in any capacity. But I still think you're cool." He flipped shit. He did the, "Oh, you're just never gonna forgive me for my fucking sins. You're such a fucking narcissist to me, or you're so fucked up in the head. You're fucked up in the head. And you know what? Fine. Since I'm such a bad guy, since you'll never let me forget my fucking sins and you wanna overreact over some jokes, fine. I'm never talking to you again. Don't contact me, even if you're going through hard times, even if you're struggling. No matter what, don't you dare ever fucking contact me." Mind you, when I was going through hard times and struggling, he was not there for me. He tried to convince me to kill myself even more. And then he tried to get me 5150'd. It's like, nigga, I was going through hard times. You couldn't help me out before. You gave $3,000 to a fucking AI that was ran by some scammers. It's like, sir, yeah, simply put, he built up the roadblocks himself to be on the path of me not giving a fuck about him anymore. So congratulations to you, stupid motherfucker. So him being like, "Oh, don't contact me, even if you're going through a hard time or any bullshit that happens to you, I don't care anymore. I'm blocking you on everything. Instagram, this platform, that platform, all platforms. Fuck you. Never talk to me again." And I was just calm. I was like, okay. And then he didn't like that. He kept sending me more messages. I was like, all right, that's fine. He kept sending me more messages. I finally just sent one final voice message where I was like, listen, I understand. I am no longer. This is over with. I have no capacity for anything going forward. This is done. This door is shut. Thank you for the good times. Goodbye. He blocked me. And then, guess what? He did that thing where he kept blocking and unblocking me over the course of like several hours. And guess what happened? Maybe it was some sort of divine gift from the universe because I left that fucked up, awful relationship without crashing out, without contacting members of his family, telling him how fucked up he was, at least not at that point in time. Like, I could have done a lot worse. A lot worse. I could have beat the shit out of that nigga if I really, really wanted to, and he would have had it coming because I remember at some point I did tell him, if you put your fucking hands on me one more time, I'm going to slap the shit out of you and backhand you so fucking hard and have an orgasm during it. But then he did successfully try to molest me one more time, and sadly I froze and did like maybe even fawn response just because I didn't want to stir the pot because I was scared. But that was like a month before. Or was it 2 weeks? I don't know. That relationship was a blur and also should have never happened. But I'll put it to you like this. Maybe the universe just smiled so kindly upon me. Because then it was like... we had a few days of not talking. I was entirely fine with that. 4th of July came around. And then this random hot guy out of nowhere, he was like, hey girl, what are you gonna do for 4th of July? I said, I don't know. I might stay home, or maybe worst case scenario, if there's this date, I might go on to this restaurant. And then this cute guy, his name was Devin, he was like, what's it gonna take for you to just like cancel those plans and come with me to Lake Tahoe instead? I was like, Lake Tahoe? As long as you give me a valid passport and like, so I can make sure you won't kill me. And he provided all the information. So you know what? Guess what my ex Jared saw when he tried to unblock me and just keep tabs on. He tried to pull a "ooh, hope you're doing okay" message. I left that nigga on red. He didn't like that shit, and he saw me. He was checking my story from his main account and a side account, and reblocking me, and then unblocking me over the course of hours because he could not stand to see me with some sexy ass Colombian man, fit as fuck, tall as fuck, broad shoulders, tight waist, nice ass, just fucking hanging out near Zephyr Cove, diving in the beautiful, perfectly clear, fresh water of Lake Tahoe, sun on my skin, pussy out, well, pussy mostly covered, and then just, ooh, I had a blast. Ooh, I had a time in Lake Tahoe. I was shotgunning beers, and I don't even like beers. I was just like, let's do what the fuck ever. That certainly beat hanging out in the parking lot with my abuser. And then and then any other dude I met with, even the men who weren't the greatest, it was like the universe was like, you suffered enough, baby girl. Here's some good ass men. And then guess what? I got some good ass men. Like the next guy I got with after Lake Tahoe guy was this like sweet guy. Like, Jared was also sending me some messages like before the big blow up he had, where he was like, you'll never find someone who can do better than I can and love you as much as I can and care as much as I can. I mean, I fucking hope not, nigga. You weren't doing that great of a job. And so then that's when I met Riley. First date with Riley, we were like it was like two puzzle pieces clicking perfectly together. He was like, damn, Tamia, you're so fucking gorgeous. Here's some roses. Here's some flowers. Like, here's like, I'm dressing up nice for you, girl. Let's go to this fancy Thai restaurant that no one else can access unless you have an Amex card. Let's go to this escape room. Let's get matching sweaters and hang out at the park in North Beach and get this fancy 7-layer fudge and look at cute dogs and like lay on each other's shoulders as ukuleles play. Like, I had such a great fucking time. It was amazing. And let's just say Jared was so fucking angry because he was still online stalking me at that point. It had been like a few weeks. Because, he was just, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. Knowing him, alcoholism and being miserable and shitty at his boring job. He lost me, his only fucking friend. And he was probably getting the cold shoulder from a few fucking people in the comedy scene as well. Because he's a rapist. And, like, meanwhile, I was having the time of my life. It's like, imagine like, really, he sent me for multiple numbers, multiple times, multiple threats. I would be online like, oh my god, Riley offered to take me on a helicopter ride for my birthday and buy me like a wig and like get my makeup done and do a photo shoot, because Riley had money and he was like a year younger than me and like had all this success and shit. So Jared's ass. He would be like, fuck you, I hope you get rats, I hope they eat your clothes and your food, I hope you suffer pestilence and poverty and suffer. And, and he sent me like a 2 mile long paragraph wishing me the worst on like a random Thursday at 2 p.m. And it's like, nigga, that's not my issue. And then the next guy too, like imagine you tell a bitch that she can't do better than you, and then she finds a dude who's kind of like you, but like 6'5", and like really successful in the liquor sales industry with a shit ton of money and arm tattoos, and he's physically fit and way more interesting in his white trash backstory. Uh, Anyway, and that's when he sent me more fucked up threats from another number telling me to kill myself. And he did that with several men. It's just like, nigga, you are pathetic. Get a life. But yeah. He also once left comments on my YouTube, well, at some point, trying to shit on me too. He's a weird dude. Either way, this has been a long video on accident. I'll probably make a shorter one, but simply put, there's better out there. And once you realize that some people aren't giving you joy, whether they are platonic or romantic, you will have a much better time in your life because you'll be like, nope, I don't want to be with broke dudes from Vallejo who treat me like shit and molest me and then won't get the fucking chicken wings I want from Domino's that only cost $5.99 because they're not in the flavor they like. I want to date dudes with Amex cards and empathy and common sense with good hygiene and manners who aren't like, yeah, Jared was mad as hell because he was like, Tamia can't get better than me. And it's like, nigga, you're kind of racist. You're kind of transphobic. You're kind of weird in a lot of fucking ways. And then it's like the very next guy I got with was this bisexual twink who had a lot of fucking money and was extremely generous and like just fucking perfect in every single way. And also my age. So he was like, fuck. There's always better to be out there, sweetheart. If you're ever like, I can't find better, trust me. I thought Jared was my best fucking friend at some point. Turns out, no, he was my worst fucking op. There's better for you. I love you. Peace out.